It is a perfect August morning in the year 79 AD. The sun climbs over the Bay of Naples and bathes the city of Pompeii in golden light. 20,000 people are waking up. A baker slides bread into a stone oven. A merchant named Marcus unloads amphorae of wine from a cart and stacks them against the wall of his shop near the Forum. A woman named Lucia walks her 2 children through the narrow streets toward the market, her sandals clicking against the stone. The smell of fresh bread, olive oil, and horse dung drifts through the air. On the walls around them, painted election slogans in bright red letters urge citizens to vote for local magistrates. A dog sleeps in a doorway. A fountain trickles in a courtyard. Above everything, the mountain watches. Vesuvius rises to the north, a broad green slope covered in vineyards and wild boar. It is beautiful. It is quiet. It has been quiet for so long that no living person knows it is a volcano. The word itself does not yet exist in the way we understand it. But in exactly 5 hours, that mountain is going to tear itself apart. A column of superheated rock and gas will rise 20 miles into the sky. Darkness will fall at midday. And by tomorrow morning, every street, every house, every fountain, and every painted wall you see around you right now will be buried under 20 feet of volcanic ash and stone. Most of the people in this city will escape, but the ones who stay, the ones who hesitate for just a few hours too long, will die in ways that no one in the ancient world has ever witnessed. And the strangest part is this: their tragedy will preserve them. This city will vanish so completely that the world will forget it ever existed. And when it is found again, 1700 years from now, the breakfast will still be on the table. So walk with me, from sunrise to silence. This is the last day of Pompeii. Pompeii in the summer of 79 AD is not some dusty backwater. It is a thriving Roman resort town perched on the southern coast of the Bay of Naples, surrounded by wealthy villas and fertile farmland enriched by centuries of volcanic soil. The city is compact but dense, enclosed within stone walls that are largely cosmetic at this point because the Roman Empire is at peace. Inside those walls, roughly 20,000 people live, work, argue, worship, and gossip. The Forum is the heart of the city. It is a long rectangular plaza surrounded by colonnaded buildings in white limestone. The Temple of Jupiter dominates the north end, with Vesuvius framed perfectly behind it. The Romans do not see the irony. To them, the mountain is a gift. Its slopes produce some of the finest wine in the empire. Rich Romans build summer villas along its base. The soil is dark and impossibly fertile, and no one thinks to ask why. If you wander through the side streets, the city reveals its character. Thermopolia, the fast food counters of the ancient world, line the avenues. Their stone counters have round holes cut into them, each one holding a terracotta pot of stew, lentils, or spiced wine kept warm over charcoal. Graffiti covers the walls, and not the refined kind. Declarations of love, insults, advertisements for gladiatorial games. One wall bears the scrawled complaint of a man who finds his neighbor insufferable. Another records the price of a prostitute. Pompeii is noisy, crowded, and extraordinarily alive. If you are new to this channel, consider subscribing. We reconstruct the most important days in history, brought back to life one turning point at a time. Now there are signs. There have been signs for years, and no one has read them correctly. In the year 62 AD, 17 years earlier, a massive earthquake shattered the city. Columns toppled, temples cracked, the water system failed. The damage was so severe that parts of Pompeii are still being rebuilt in August of 79. Scaffolding clings to public buildings. Construction materials sit stacked in the streets. The earthquake was caused by the same magma chamber that is now, at this very moment, building pressure beneath the mountain. But the Romans have no concept of plate tectonics, no framework for understanding what an earthquake shares with an eruption. To them, the earthquake was the anger of Neptune, god of the sea. They made their sacrifices. They repaired their walls. They moved on. In the days leading up to August 24th, smaller tremors rattle the city. Springs dry up in the hills around Vesuvius. Wells that have fed the farms for generations go silent. The animals are uneasy. Dogs bark at nothing. Birds vanish from the trees around the mountain's upper slopes. But earthquakes are common in Campania. The ground shakes here the way the sky thunders in other places. People notice, and then people forget. Marcus notices. He tells a customer at his wine shop that the well behind his house has gone dry. The customer shrugs. Wells dry up in summer. It means nothing. It means everything. Shortly after noon, without any final warning, the earth beneath Vesuvius fractures. The eruption does not begin with lava. It begins with sound. A crack so deep and so loud that it is heard across the entire Bay of Naples. Then a column of gas, pulverized rock, and superheated ash rockets upward from the summit at twice the speed of sound. Within minutes, it reaches the stratosphere, climbing to a height of more than 20 miles. At its peak, the column spreads outward like the canopy of an enormous umbrella pine tree. Pliny the Younger, watching from the town of Misenum 18 miles across the bay, will later describe it in exactly those words. A pine tree. It is the first scientific description of a volcanic eruption in Western history, and the reason this type of eruption is still called Plinian to this day. In Pompeii, the sky goes dark. The column leans to the southeast, pushed by the prevailing wind, and Pompeii is directly in its path. Within the first hour, small white stones begin to fall. Pumice, light, porous, worn to the touch. They bounce off the rooftops and roll into the gutters. At first, it seems almost harmless. Children pick up the stones and examine them. But the fall does not stop. It intensifies. Within 2 hours, the streets are ankle deep. Within 4 hours, the pumice reaches knee height. It accumulates on flat rooftops at a rate of 6 inches every hour, and the weight is enormous. Roof timbers that were never designed for this kind of load begin to groan. Then they crack. Then they collapse. This is the moment that separates the living from the dead. The people who leave now, who grab what they can carry and push through the falling stones toward the southern gates, will survive. Roughly 3/4 of the population makes this choice. They run, but a significant number do not. Some are old, some are sick, some refuse to abandon their homes, their shops, their valuables. Some are enslaved and cannot leave without permission, and some simply believe it will stop. Earthquakes stop, storms pass. Surely this will end. It does not end. Lucia gathers her children and pushes toward the Stabian gate. The pumice is falling so thick that she drapes her palla over their heads to shield them. All around her, carts are jammed in the narrow streets. A man carries a wooden chest on his shoulders, his face twisted with effort. A woman clutches a bag of coins to her chest and screams for her husband. The city that was so ordered, so elegant just hours ago, is dissolving into blind panic. But far more dangerous than the falling stones is what is happening to the air. Sulfur dioxide is pouring from the column, settling into low areas and enclosed spaces. People who take shelter in basements and ground floor rooms, believing the walls will protect them, begin to choke. The gas is heavier than air. It pools in the places where people hide. Across the Bay of Naples, at the Roman naval base of Misenum, a man is watching. Gaius Plinius Secundus. We know him as Pliny the Elder. He is 55 years old, the commander of the Western Roman fleet and one of the most prolific scholars in the ancient world. He has written 37 volumes of natural history, cataloguing everything from the behavior of elephants to the mining of gold. He sees the eruption column, and his first instinct is not fear. It is curiosity. He orders a lifeboat prepared so he can sail closer to observe. But then a message arrives. A woman named Rectina, who lives at the base of Vesuvius, has sent a desperate plea. The only escape is by sea. The roads are blocked. The mountain is killing everything. Pliny changes his plan. He orders the warships launched, not one boat for science, but the full fleet for rescue. He sails directly toward the eruption, dictating observations to his secretary as burning stones rain down on the deck. His nephew, the 17-year-old Pliny the Younger, watches from the shore at Misenum and begs to come. His uncle tells him to stay and study. The boy obeys, and because he obeys, because he stays behind and watches and remembers, humanity will have the only surviving eyewitness account of this day. If you are finding this journey through the last hours of Pompeii gripping, take a second to hit the like button. It tells the algorithm that this kind of deep historical reconstruction matters, and it helps us bring more of history's turning points back to life. Pliny the Elder cannot land at Pompeii. The shoreline has changed. The sea is pulled back, exposing the seabed, and volcanic debris blocks the harbor. He redirects to Stabia, a few miles to the south, where his friend Pomponianus is waiting with a ship already loaded for escape. But the wind is blowing on shore. The same wind that is pushing the ash column over Pompeii is now trapping the ships in the harbor. They cannot sail out. They are stuck. Pliny does something remarkable. He bathes. He eats dinner. He goes to sleep. Whether this is genuine calm or a performance to steady the nerves of his terrified companions, we will never know. But his nephew later records that his uncle's snoring could be heard through the door. He will never wake in the same world. After midnight, the eruption enters its most lethal phase. For 12 hours, the column has been sustained by the continuous blast of gas and magma from deep within the earth. But now the pressure fluctuates. The towering column, 20 miles of superheated rock and gas suspended in the atmosphere, becomes unstable. It begins to collapse. When a Plinian eruption column collapses, the material does not simply fall straight down. It cascades outward along the surface of the earth as a pyroclastic surge. This is a ground-hugging avalanche of superheated gas and rock fragments traveling at speeds of up to 450 miles per hour, with internal temperatures exceeding 500 degrees. Nothing survives contact with it. Not stone, not flesh, not hope. The first surge races down the western slope of Vesuvius and hits Herculaneum, a wealthy coastal town 4 miles from the summit. Herculaneum has not suffered the same pumice fall as Pompeii because it lies upwind. Many of its residents believe they are safe. They are sheltering in the barrel-vaulted boathouses along the beach, packed together in the dark, waiting for rescue ships that will never arrive. The surge reaches them in seconds. The heat is so intense that it vaporizes their flesh instantaneously. Their skulls explode from the pressure of boiling brain fluid. Their bones are stained red from the iron, in their blood oxidizing in extreme heat. 300 skeletons are found in those boathouses 17 centuries later, still huddled in the positions they died in. Families holding each other. A soldier clutching his sword. A woman shielding a baby. Pompeii's turn comes with a fourth surge, around 6:30 in the morning of August 25th. By now, the pumice deposit in the city is over 8 feet deep. The streets are unrecognizable. Walls poke from the grey surface like bones from sand. Those who remain, perhaps 2,000 people, are in upper floors or on rooftops or sheltering in the strongest buildings they can find. The surge does not care about walls. It flows over them, around them, through every window and doorway. It fills every enclosed space with gas hot enough to kill on contact. The people of Pompeii do not burn to death. They die from thermal shock. Their muscles seize in an instant, locking their bodies in the positions they occupied at the moment of death. A man sits with his head in his hands. A mother curls around her child. A dog strains at the end of its chain. A beggar lies on his back with his arms raised as if trying to push the sky away. In Stabia, Pliny the Elder is woken by the tremors. The building is shaking so violently that the group decides to flee to the open beach, tying pillows to their heads with strips of cloth to protect against falling stones. The air is thick with sulfur. Pliny is old, overweight, and suffers from breathing difficulties. He asks his slaves to help him stand. He leans on 2 servants and walks to the shoreline. According to his nephew's account, he lies down on a sailcloth, asks for cold water twice, and then the flames and the smell of sulfur drive the others away. When they return, he is dead, lying peacefully on the cloth. He looks as if he is sleeping. The admiral who sailed into the eruption to save strangers dies on a beach 18 miles from home with his boots on, and then silence. By the morning of August 26, there is no city. There is a grey desert. The cone of Vesuvius has lost its top, replaced by a wide caldera. The coastline has shifted. Rivers have changed course. Pompeii is buried under roughly 20 feet of pumice and ash. Herculaneum under 60 feet of hardened volcanic mud. The land is so transformed that within a generation, the exact location of both cities is forgotten. Their names fade first from maps, then from memory. The eruption of Vesuvius in 79 AD killed an estimated 2,000 people in Pompeii and perhaps 300 in Herculaneum. These numbers are small by the standards of ancient catastrophe, but what makes this event singular in all of human history is what came after. The volcanic material that buried Pompeii did not just destroy the city, it sealed it. It created a perfect, airless, lightless capsule. Bread carbonized before it could rot. Wooden furniture was preserved in ash. Frescoes kept their color for 17 centuries. Wax tablets retained the impressions of styluses that last pressed into them on August 24, 79 AD. When archaeologists finally returned in the 18th century, they did not find ruins. They found a city frozen at the exact moment it died. We know what the Pompeians ate for lunch that day because the food is still in the pots. We know what they argued about because the graffiti is still on the walls. We know what they feared, what they loved, what they bought, and what they stole. No other archaeological site on Earth has given us such an intimate, granular, uncensored portrait of daily life in the ancient world. Pompeii did not just die. Pompeii became immortal, and there is a final detail that haunts the historians. August 24, 79 AD. The day before the eruption was Vulcanalia, the Roman festival honoring Vulcan, the god of fire. The people of Pompeii spent August 23rd lighting bonfires and making sacrifices to the god who lived beneath the earth, asking him for protection from destructive flames. Vulcan answered the next morning. Marcus did not make it out of the city. We do not know this for certain because Marcus is not a single man. He is every merchant who stayed too long, who went back for the strongbox or the ledger or the amphora of good wine that cost him 3 months' wages. He is the human instinct to hold on to the things we built, even when the ground is shaking beneath our feet. Lucia made it to the Stabian gate. Beyond that, we cannot follow her. We hope she kept running. We hope her children grew up and told their grandchildren about the day the sky fell. We will never know. What we do know is this. The last day of Pompeii was not a warning that went unheeded. It was a warning that could not have been understood. The Romans had no science for what happened to them. They had no word for volcano, no model for eruption, no concept of tectonic pressure. They stood at the boundary of human knowledge and the earth swallowed them. And 1700 years later, when their city was pulled from the ash, they taught us more about the ancient world than every history book ever written. They gave us the gift of seeing ourselves in them. The bread, the graffiti, the sleeping dog, the election slogans, they were us, and we are them. And the mountain is still there. Vesuvius last erupted in 1944. 3 million people live in its shadow today. So here is the question I leave with you. If the mountains spoke tomorrow, would we listen? Or would we, like the Pompeians, look at the trembling ground and say it means nothing? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one, and the best responses often shape future episodes. This was the day that changed everything. I am Atlas, and this is the past restored. I will see you at the next turning point.